Footscray leading by 38 points at half-time. They led by 14 at quarter-time. Goal kickers for the Bulldogs, 2 to Groenewegen and McLean, and singles to McGuinness, Royal, and Evans has also got 2. So that makes a total of 8-6 to 2-4. And for the West Coast Eagles, their 2 goals have been kicked by Steve Malaxos and Chris Lewis. Next Saturday, we have the next match, the 6th in the series, the National Panasonic Cup between Essendon and St Kilda. That will be live from VFL Park at 8:30. And the match next Tuesday night comes from the Sydney Cricket Ground. It will be between the Sydney Swans and the Brisbane Bears. So plenty of football in the next week here on 7 as the National Panasonic Cup continues. The good news about tonight, it is not raining. We've had some rotten luck with the weather, but although it's cool tonight, no rain forecast, and the ground in absolutely ideal condition. 8-6 to 2-4 as we go now to our regular halftime feature, which we all look forward to. It's Palmer's Punchlines with the sporting editor of the Sunday Press, Scott Palmer.
Good evening, welcome again to Punchlines. Football's piranhas are circling, slobbering at the jaws, waiting to see if Essendon can meet its salary cap before it plays its first National Panasonic match on Saturday night. Rival clubs believe the Bombers will have to jettison at least 2 talented players if they are going to satisfy the contract commissioner, Mr. Phil Ryan. The Bombers' general manager, Barry Capuano, admitted to Punchlines that some adjustments to the list may have to be made. I just hope Essendon at least can trial its team under lights against St Kilda before it makes a decision on who, if anybody, will have to go onto the open market. Memories of St Kilda's most famous backline, Roger Head, Bob Murray and Brian Sierakowski, came rushing back today. For Big Sierakowski, who played in the Saints' only premiership win in 1966, is strongly tipped to become the VFL's Tribunal's chairman based in Perth. He's one of the top nominations to be considered tomorrow. By the way, the Saints are very busy in the recruiting field at the moment. Peter Francis is in their sights, so is Richmond's Jeff McElwain, and Carlton's Peter Kenny. Funny though about Kenny, because Melbourne want him too, but don't know whether he's too interested in playing this year. And just one more thing on the Saints. To me, it's very significant that they named Greg Burns captain and Danny Frawley vice-captain for their match in the country last week. Richmond believe the Tigers may become spoilt silvertails under Alan Bond's care. They all had rooms at Bond's swanky Observation City Hotel last Sunday, were given personal robes, dined on prawn and avocado, and were invited back to the opening VFL match on March 29. The Bib and Brace boys at Punt Road and blokes like Jack Dyer just can't believe the change in their beloved Tigers. Geelong has paid $48,000 for Dwayne Russell's clearance from Port Adelaide, $12,000 less than the maximum, and are not about to give David O'Keefe to the Bears very cheaply. In fact, they are not obliged to clear him at all. Steve Reynolds and Craig Evans fulfil their obligations to Brisbane. And Fitzroy, believe it or not, have a problem with birds. In fact, 70,000 of them, big-breasted ones too. That's how many chickens Gary Wilson is raising at one time. His time is always on the wing, and the Lions are anxious to sign him up as a specialist coach and selector. Come on, Gary, put the Lions back on your pecking order. And for the boys up at Avenel, a reminder, keep punching, fellas.
Big-breasted chickens. Thank you, Scotty. Scotty Palmer. Palmer's Punchlines, and they will return on Saturday for our next match, which will be Essendon and St Kilda here at VFL Park. Well, Footscray doing it quite easily at the moment, 8-6-54 to 2-4-16. Let's go down now to the Eagles dressing room, and Jack Edwards, and I guess the mood there is a little bit sombre at the moment.
Yes, it is, Peter. Ron Alexander had the team in the room before, away from the main dressing room, and had a few words with them. Barry Cable made a quote to me before I thought was quite good. He said, "Welcome to the VFL." And I think there's a lot in that. With the wisdom behind the Eagles, there's quite a few players there. Graham Moss, of course, is in the background, and Robert Wiley, Barry Richardson, and John Adams from North Melbourne. So they've got a fairly big brains trust out there, but the boys out there are finding the pace just a little bit tough out there. Footscray are very desperate to do well tonight, as you can tell by the scoreboard. And I think the West Coast Eagles are just finding it a little bit tough at present, but they won't give up. They'll go out and fight it out, but I think that the Footscray side might be just a little bit too talented on the evening. Righto, Pete, back to you.
Well, thank you, Jack. 38 points the difference at half-time. We'll take a break, and we'll be back with the half-time summary from Don Scott after this.
When you look around Victoria at the start of every day, you'll find someone there to help you, someone with you all the way.
To insure a shop like mine, SIO are OK. They looked after me.
And they're OK for home insurance.
And OK for car insurance too.
Victorian Brown, Victoria's own, they're the S-I-O.
They're OK.
In one of these, and in one of these. One of these lasts 20% longer than a Duracell.
Two rights, the extraordinary Energizer.
In one of these lasts 20% longer than a Duracell.
Two rights, the extraordinary Energizer.
It'll surprise ya.
Independent tests prove Energizer lasts 20% longer than Duracell.
Prove it for yourself. Energizer. Oi!
Let me tell you what I'm doing with my money. It's currently growing at an almost embarrassingly good rate at State Bank. What's your money doing?
The new Mitsubishi Express one-ton vans have 4 doors or 5 doors, so you can load them and unload them very fast. A ton of access means a ton of potential. The new Mitsubishi Express vans, made to work.
My name is Sherlock Holmes. It is my business to know what other people don't know.
Thursday night, the case of the missing blue carbuncle.
Blue carbuncle?
An innocent man accused.
I've got you, Warner. But I need that jewel.
And only Holmes can save him.
The blue carbuncle indeed. Who would think that so pretty a toy could be a purveyor to the gallows and the prison?
The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, Thursday, 9:30.
Welcome back to VFL Park. Everybody enjoying a hot dog and a Coke or whatever. And Coke always provide us with plenty of drinks up here in our boxes, but on these cool nights it's terrific. 54-16. Don Scott, how did you see the Eagles' first 2 quarters? As Barry Cable said, welcome to the VFL.
Well, that's the difference between VFL and interstate football, and until the West Coast Eagles learn what pressure is all about, they will not acclimatise to VFL football. Footscray are just playing normal VFL type football. They're much quicker to the ball, they're making play, whereas the West Coast Eagles are waiting for things to happen. Players are too flat-footed and they're looking very, very fast, Footscray. Their disposal is very good, but you couldn't question the way that the West Coast Eagles went about it in the first half. They're just lacking that little bit of polish, and it's very, very hard to find good players for them. The players that do stand out are John Annear and Ross Glendenning when they do get the ball, because they're used to this type of pressure. The Footscray players are much stronger, they're much faster, their skills under pressure are much better, and on the other hand, the West Coast Eagles are not a very cohesive unit. They had to scrub that goal through, as you saw, through to Malaxos. Good use of the body there by Evans, and this poor fellow, Main Waring's having a dirty night. He's given away about 3 goals. He's had 2 shocking kick-outs, and that free kick there. And Evans, who came on replacing Beasley, who went off injured, kicks truly, and he has kicked 2 goals. Normally a backman, came from Coburg, aged 27, so he's leaving his debut just a little late to league football. Michael McLean, a very fit-looking Michael McLean. It's good to see him start off instead of coming off the bench, and I hope he does well, because he's got a lot of pace, and this young fellow could be the talk in years to come. He's only 17-year-old. Lewis, he played 3 games for Claremont towards the end of last season and certainly was a sensation, and the way he took that mark there shows what football's all about. He knows a little bit about the game, the way he kicked the ball, but again, like a lot of these other fellows, he's got to learn a little bit about league football.
Don, are they breaking down in the key positions? I mean, even Glendenning hasn't been at his best tonight.
But I think football's a team game, and it's not much good having 1 or 2 players firing. You're very dependent on the fellows up the ground, and Glendenning at centre-half forward playing in probably the hardest position on the ground, and there you're very dependent on fellows up the ground to give you the ball, and the ball's just not coming down cleanly enough or quick enough for Glendenning, and he's got a lot of players to beat at that position. And this little instance of play with Petraglia shows the quickness, the speed and the strength of the little fellow. A good handball across to Royal, and Royal just squeezed it in.
Don, it's quite obvious that the Footscray's advantage is at the centre bounce too, with Purser dominating that. And he's not just knocking the ball out, he's handling it well, marking well around the ground, and of course he's given players like McGuinness, and I think you mentioned McLean and the Petraglia and Royal, a pretty easy sort of a ride too,
Well, he's
isn't
also
it?
picking up kicks too, Lou, and that's good. McGuinness, you've mentioned, a very, very fit-looking Tony McGuinness, and maybe he's been getting back to his McGarry form of a couple of years ago. He was a little bit underdone, I thought, last year, showed quickness in patches, but just couldn't apply himself for the whole game. But I'm very impressed with his first half.
Right, thank you, Don. 38 points the difference in favour of Footscray. Well, Jack Edwards has seen the West Coast Eagles dressing room. Let's go down to the Bulldogs rooms now, and our reporter there is Peter Donegan.
Thank you, Pete. Well, the Bulldog players have just come out after a talk behind closed doors by Coach Michael Malthouse. I just spoke to Footscray President Tony Capes, and I said, well, they're doing okay so far. And he said, yeah, but this is the quarter. This is always the important quarter of the games, the third quarter. And I'm sure that's one thing that Mick Malthouse emphasised to his players, not to get overconfident, because that could have been the case with Hawthorn the other night, and North Melbourne came out with a terrific third quarter effort. On the injury front, Michael Egan is getting some treatment to a cut which is just up on his forehead, but he's okay. But unfortunately, I spoke to Simon Beasley. I said, how is it? He said, mate, I am out of business. So no appearance from Simon Beasley. But the Bulldogs, pretty confident in doing it well here at half-time, Pete.
Right, thanks, Pete. Let's check the results of the earlier matches now. And, of course, remember that the best loser will also qualify for the second round. And Fitzroy, in that regard, who went down to Carlton by 11 points, might be hard to oust from that position. Geelong defeated Collingwood by 20. Carlton defeating Fitzroy, as I said, by 11. Melbourne downing Richmond by 16. And Hawthorn taking North Melbourne apart ultimately by 40 points. Although, as Pete just mentioned, North had an excellent burst in the third quarter against the Hawks in our last match here on Saturday night. That's Michael Egan. As Peter Donegan mentioned a few moments ago, in the wars, Simon Beasley won't be coming back. And I dare say that Michael Egan will also be resuming on the bench in this third term. So at half-time, 54 plays 16 in favour of Footscray. The Bulldogs with a very good lead. 3 players kicking 2 goals, Gronewegan, Evans and also McLean. Newsworld follows the football. Let's check the latest on the news now as we go to the 7 National Newsroom, where we find Marianne Van Dorslow.
Thank you, Peter. There was a stormy reception for Soviet Foreign Minister Eduard Shevardnadze when he arrived in Canberra today. Protesters gathered outside Parliament House to jeer the highest-ranking Soviet official to visit Australia. But Mr Shevardnadze surprised everyone by confronting the protesters. Earth tremors are continuing to rock the Bay of Plenty region of New Zealand in the wake of yesterday's major quake. And 1 man was killed and 2 others seriously injured when a coal dredge collapsed at the Loy Yang power station today. Join me for all the news in Newsworld after the football.
It's Stonecastle's 3 months interest-free sale!
Feast budget allowance suite, a crazy $299, Stanley!
Cordless remote video recorder slashed to $499.
How much?
Only $499. Get fit with this exercise bike reduced to $98.
Top quality column heater, an unbelievable $89. And just look at this 2-litre kettle, a crazy $10. And just remember, it's our 3 months interest-free sale, so make a dash to any of our 14 huge locations. Be there!
Are you ready to get closer?
Gillette Blue 2. 2 blades to shave you closer than single blade shavers.
Yes, we're ready to step into blue, really ready. Gillette Blue 2.
Want to sell your car, home or find a job?
It's Hunter, Melbourne's top dog.
Then turn to Hunter Classifieds and sell around the clock. Every morning in the Sun, every evening in the Herald, it's the best buy in Melbourne. Ring Hunter Classifieds and get 2 papers for the price of 1. And over 2 million readers, more than double the age. So if you want to sell it fast, phone Hunter Classifieds on 652-2222. Get the best buy in Melbourne and sell around the clock all day.
Mazda believe the time has come. The time when a go-getting man deserves a go-getting van.
Keep going, Mazda van.
Full of style, versatile.
Keep going, Mazda van.
Mazda van, top of its class. Top class loading, top class features. Automatic option. So when you've got to get going with them.
Keep coming, keep running, keep going.
Nice going.
Mazda!
Winner of 4 Academy Awards, James A. Mitchell's story of interracial romance and prejudice. Sayonara.
I now pronounce you man and wife.
We live in different worlds, come from different races. Oh, Lloyd, they'll do anything to hang something on you.
Marlon Brando.
And I'm planning to marry a Japanese girl myself.
James Gunn.
Any public display whatever of affection for a Japanese national by a member of this command is forbidden.
And Red Button.
Every guy on that list is married to a Japanese girl.
Sayonara, 8:30 Friday on 7.
From VFL Park, we check the stats to half-time, and predictably, a good advantage in the kicks, a margin of 24. The mark 17-14, the frees 11-7. Handballs, only a margin of 1 there, but in favour of the West Coast Eagles, and the headouts 14-15. I find that perhaps a little bit surprising, because I thought that Purser had dominated the ruck, well, certainly around the ground.
From the boundary throw, and sometimes Purser hasn't contested those around the boundary at all. He's let someone else have a go at that.
Don Scott, let's check the individual stats now of some of the players that have been in the play a lot.
Well, I was impressed with Battaglia up there. He's working very, very hard, showing a lot of courage, showing a lot of quickness, also skill. And he's had 6 kicks, 1 mark and 2 handballs. And with one of those handballs, set it up very nicely for Brian Roy. Tony McGuinness, 13 kicks. Well, he's working very, very hard. And as I said earlier, I'm very impressed with him. 3 handballs, 1 goal, 3. Maybe his kicking could improve for a goal, but he's put in a very, very hard pre-season, Tony. And after last year's initiation, he realises he's just got to do that a little bit more in league football. David Hart, 5 kicks. He's worked hard. It's very, very hard to pick out very good West Coast Eagles players. They can only improve this quarter, and let's hope they do. I don't think they're just lacking that little bit at the moment, but I'm hoping they will improve anyway. John Annear working hard. He always picks up a lot of kicks. A very hard worker when he's at Richmond last year. He's had 4 kicks, 2 handballs and 1 mark, and he's getting underneath the packs in the centre and trying to get the ball forward for them.
All right. Simon Beasley seems to be moving okay, but obviously the Bulldogs, Lou, won't be taking any chances with him.
Well, I don't blame them. I was rather surprised the other night, last Saturday night, when they left Cracker on the ground so long, because, you know, when you've got a valuable property like that, you just you nurse them when you're injured, don't you? You don't take the risk at this early stage of the season.
Well, I really don't even know why he's out there, Lou, because he's got his track shoes on. If you're injured, you'd be showered in nearly on your way home tonight, but he's got his track shoes on, so he won't be coming back on, but he's not, well, he seems to be.
Well, you've got to remember that he's an ex-West Australian, probably wants a few of his friends back in Perth to see him, that he's still here with Footscray.
He might have his fiancée jump the fence again.
But he's certainly a great character, Simon Beasley, and a very cooperative bloke when you want to talk to him too, isn't he?
He is. He's a great bloke, Simon.
Very interested in the racehorses too.
Yes, and of course the stock market as well. There at an odd minute. It's a free plug. Well, the Eagles certainly have the job ahead of them now. They trailed by 38 points in their first game against a pretty good side, Footscray, preliminary finalist the year before last. And I'm sure they'll be well in contention for Final 5 honours this year. And of course, they're well below top strength tonight. Played just about